Hey, what's up guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Welcome back to another live stream where we are going to look at some weather extremes in the northern and southern hemisphere. You're not going to believe the differences 1,000 miles makes, actually a few thousand miles, but it's happening, and it's happening right now here on the earth. Welcome back to another live stream, guys. Today is Monday, January 26th. We have finished up the massive ice storm, snowstorm, depending on where you were at. If you were in Canada, the upper northeastern United States, you saw snow. What's up, Joel, Jevy, David, having coffee? What's going on, guys? Good to see you here. Still cold in the northern plains, the eastern United States. They say it got cold down in New Orleans. Not surprised, as this big cold front is going to stick around all week long, which is going to delay the frozen precipitation that's causing all of these power outages in these states here. The majority of the power outages are in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee, even though there are 10 states dealing with this widespread power outage spanning over 1,000 miles wide from West Texas all the way over to northern West Virginia. I mean, it was a big storm. But the majority of the freezing rain fell where we expected down here in north central Louisiana, northwestern and mainly north central Mississippi, southern Tennessee, dealing with widespread power outages. Again, 200,000 primarily in Tennessee is leading the way. Mississippi a strong second at 148,000. Louisiana 109,000. So they could be without power for several days. I've got some unbelievable pictures from those locations. One over here at the homepage of the website. If you guys have any photos, hey Shauna, thank you for the super chat. You're welcome. My pleasure. Let me give you a thumbs up there. Thank you. I really appreciate that. If you guys have any pictures you'd like to share of this ice, if you have any of these trees that just kind of went in a million different directions, send in your photos to reports at MrMBB333.com or come over here to the homepage of the website and this Dropbox here. That's what this tab is. It says have a large video. It's a Dropbox. Drag and drop your photos into the Dropbox like you see right here. This photo out of Franklin, Tennessee by Mags. Send in that photo and you're going to see a photo, actually multiple photos. Let's get right to it. Here's a photo also by Mags out of Franklin, Tennessee. Are you serious right now? That tree exploded, went in 360 degrees, all directions. There it is, branches all the way around, forming a circle. Are you serious? I mean, I've seen trees break off down here at the base. I've seen branches fall out of trees. And you can see the trees behind this one here, sagging from the heavy weight of the ice. That's common in ice storms. Ice storms with more than a half an inch of ice, very common. But to see a tree just go like that is pretty wild. I gotta admit, it is pretty wild. Here's a camera in Louisiana. They don't normally see a lot of ice in Louisiana. They did. This is a camera from this morning. You can see ice just covering the camera. The grounds are covered with ice. In fact, this photo is not too far from Louisiana. Here's some more photos out of Louisiana. Check this out. How would you like to wake up to that? This is why the power's out in Tennessee. Look at the branches all intertangled into the power lines. And this is just one small location. Do you realize how long it's going to take just to do this location right here? Probably the better part of a day, depending on the size of the crew. Look at that. You're not going to get down that road for a while. The road may be open right now, but to get the power back on here, that's going to be a monumental task. And again, that's just one location of many. This span for many, many hundreds of miles. Look at this tree here. I'm surprised it was still standing. The amount of weight on that tree. All these photos by Mags out of Franklin, Tennessee. This was a big, strong tree, but it was no match for the very heavy ice. Look at that. And most of these trees that you see sagging like that are top heavy. And the top heavy accumulates the most ice, and then it starts to sag. That one there, well, obviously was a big, strong tree, but again, no match for the ice. Look at that. Not getting down that road anytime soon. I've seen that before. I remember seeing that when I was a kid. They do, the ice makes it look like a winter wonderland. Here's this second, or the right half of this tree laying over here, just missing what looks like an apartment complex or something right there. Just missed it. Maybe part of that branch hit the building. Ice just literally everywhere. Trees sagging to the ground in some places. There's the one that it just broke in 360 degrees. Just couldn't take the weight. Too much weight on the tree. Can you imagine a whole tree covered with ice? How much weight that would be? A power line spanning, what is it, 50 yards? 500 pounds. So it's no telling how much weight's on these trees. Probably in excess of 1,000 pounds, if not more. Roadblock, this tree here just completely obliterated. And there's a car that the branches fell on, covering the car. Unbelievable. But not surprising, based off of the forecast, there was a lot of forecasted freezing rain in these areas. Absolutely. Look at that there. Look at this. Looks like an absolute winter wonderland. Look at that ice. I'm going to show you an example out of Boonville, Mississippi, of a solid ½ inch of ice that was reported there in Boonville. Look at these lines here. Look at that. Man, that's no joke. That ice will wreak havoc on a power grid. Absolutely. And it takes a while to get that repaired. So this could be a long duration power outage. Again, here's another quagmire here. I mean, this is going to take a better part of a day just to get this all undone. The pole broke. That was the power pole right there. I've actually seen that. Power poles break off like that. They sure do, with the power line still connected to them. Look at that. Seen it. Saw that when I was a little kid. Wow. What a mess. Franklin, Tennessee. Boonville, Mississippi. This is the one that I was telling you about. This gentleman here, Nathan Hester, who's a storm chaser. His truck had a big branch fall in the back of the truck, not literally, but across the back of his truck. You're going to see a layer of ice, this layer of ice right here, that's all over the truck. You can't see it until we zoom in on that layer right there. Look at how thick that is. That's at least a ½ inch thick, and that is a lot of weight. A lot of weight, even a lot of weight on the truck. So the ice storm did show up, it did show out, and it created a lot of power outages. So guys, we're hoping that the power comes back on soon, but from the looks of that, it may not be a while. So hang in there, stay warm, and hopefully you got plenty of supplies. I know most of you in Texas got plenty of supplies. I saw the grocery stores to prove it. And the cold air, it's going to be around for a while. Let me step it forward. The next 5 days, the pink and the purple are cold air. We're going to start do 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, this is tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. And you can see the cold air. We're going to go from cold air to hot air here in just a minute. This is how cold it is in like Minnesota, -28 tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I'm going to show you guys the complete opposite of this. 112 degrees on the same day. Here we go, 28th. Cold air still dipping down into, well, northern Kentucky. Single digits on the 28th. Still sticking around on the 29th. This is Thursday. Not really moving too much. Very, very cold in the northeastern United States, Pennsylvania, -15. The 30th, still sticking around, but moving up just a little bit. I mean, getting a little bit warmer, but not much. Saturday the 31st, right back down in again. Are you serious? -4, 0 in central Mississippi on Saturday. Let's go to Sunday, see what it's showing. Starting to move out a little bit on Sunday, getting up into the 12s and the teens, at least, in central Mississippi, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. on Sunday. And then Monday, the polar vortex is starting to lift out. Tuesday, I go back to Monday here. Looks like by Monday and Tuesday. By 2 p.m. on Monday, getting nice. Monday afternoon, temperatures above freezing in Tennessee, so that's going to help a lot of the ice and snow melt. So it's going to be around, today's Monday, it's going to be around for another week. These cold temperatures, another week. And going from, like we saw at the beginning of the video, the banner that I showed you guys, going from one extreme to another, super cold in the northern hemisphere. I mean frigid, below zero for multiple days in a row. But down under in Australia, they're dealing with the complete opposite. Dealing with temperatures down here in the teens. So we've got negative, good grief, what are we dealing with up here? Let's go back to today, and we'll start at like this morning up in here in Minnesota. this is northern Wisconsin, negative 30. Let's just go with a negative 30. Going from up here in the northern hemisphere, Wisconsin, going down to Australia, where they are dealing with temperatures. Let's just take a little ride down here. We'll just go vent to sky. Here we go. 106. The same day, a few thousand miles apart, they're down here dealing with wildfires and temperatures that are literally setting records. 50-degree Celsius temperatures in Australia as they've been dealing with a heat wave. Not only heat waves, but wildfires scattered around Australia. So again, we are dealing with that very thing, one extreme to another. Super, super cold temperatures in the northern hemisphere, long duration cold temperatures, and hot temperatures down in Australia, eclipsing in some areas 50 degrees Celsius, which is 122 degrees Fahrenheit. There is a 110-degree difference from northern Wisconsin to Australia. 110-degree difference. Unbelievable. How about that? Now that is wild. So they're starting to come out of it a little bit down here in Australia. I mean, it's cooled off to 108. But it's still very, very hot. So the wild and wacky temperatures are continuing to span the globe. 110-degree difference from Wisconsin to Australia. Checking in on the solar activity. Been quiet the last 72 to 96 hours. And here's why. The Earth-facing side of the sun is also very quiet. Very little sunspot activity. However, there's a large sunspot and a large active region of sunspot on the backside of the sun that's turning towards the Earth. It won't be visible for maybe 2.5 days. We'll start to see it, but the K index is quiet, the GOES X-ray flux is quiet, and no sunspots. So solar activity is very quiet for the time being, and there's no coronal holes facing the Earth. There's a small one, but it's very very insignificant. It's not going to do anything. I mean, even it does have a little bit of high-speed solar wind coming out of it, but not enough to trigger any auroras or geomagnetic storms like we saw here a few days ago. Danny Dayton out of Buffalo, Wyoming sent in that photo. Iris out of Denmark sent in this video of the sky turning almost a beautiful emerald green. Are you serious right now? Can you imagine? I mean, seriously, can you imagine going out, looking up and seeing that where it's so strong you don't have to use a long exposure photograph. You can just film it and witness it just like that. I mean, that is mind-blowing. That is super, super cool. Thank you, Jennifer. Happy to be a star. Well, thank you for being a Star Family member. Yes, you guys can be a Star Family member if you want. There's a link down in the description box like Jennifer here. And I see most of your comments. Can you give an opinion on the 3i Atlas update of Obuleb? Yeah, I mean, it's still out there. I'll show you guys where it's at. I think I still have the JPL schematic up. I'll give that to you here in just a minute. Let me get through these photos. I promised these folks that I would share their photos because they sent in some stunners. This was a stunning video out of deep in the northern hemisphere. Look at that, out of Denmark. But they're no strangers to that. They see this on the regular anytime we have geomagnetic storms. They honestly have the best seat in the house right up here next to Canada. But they have a beautiful view of the nighttime sky up in Denmark and Norway, Sweden, especially the northern parts of Denmark and Finland as well. That was able to be recorded with just a video camera. I mean, no long exposure necessary. That was a strong storm going from Denmark to Boyle, Alberta. Amber sent in this video from Alberta. Also had the pleasure of just stepping outside, looking up, and recording. Now that is very, very cool. And it was very, very cold up there. It's been cold up in Canada. Super cold temperatures up there. Super hot temperatures down in Australia. Literally going from one extreme to another. So beautiful video there out of Alberta, Canada. Got a few photos to share with you guys also from Canada and a couple locations down here in the States. I'm going to talk about, in my next video, I'm going to talk about the South Atlantic anomaly and what happened down there a few days ago. Video footage here once again out of Alberta. Dancing lights in the nighttime sky courtesy of a geomagnetic storm. Those look like green pillars in the sky. Look at that. That was an unusual aurora display right there. It looked like 4 fingers up in the sky. This one here looked pretty typical. Once again, from the same location. Miss Amber out of Alberta. Karina out of Alberta also had a front row seat to the beautiful skies the other night out of Alberta. They have a great view of the nighttime sky up there. They send in some photos of the nighttime sky, just stars and stuff like that from up there. Very good seats, front row seats to the universe right up there. Great job, guys. Keep the photos and videos coming. Look at that one right there. Looks like a big sheet of green just dancing in the sky. Photo here sent in by Blake out of Michigan. They were pink in Michigan, almost a dark pink. They're not purple. Right there was maybe a little splash of purple, but for the most part, they were pink in Michigan, northern Michigan. Photos sent in by Blake. This one here had a little bit of, I don't know if that's white or light green. It was difficult to tell. Photo here by Angie D. Not sure of the location. I think she was in northern Arizona, possibly. Great photos, guys. Thanks for sharing. Someone had mentioned, Jennifer had mentioned about Atlas. Do I still have I do, right here. Here's where Atlas is. I wanted to know what I thought about Atlas. Hold on just a second here. Okay, here we go. We're going to go in and take a look at where Atlas is at. We can at least start there. Oh, there we go. Let's slide it over. And Atlas is headed towards Jupiter. Right there it is. It's still in the solar system. Right there is its location. There's Mr. Atlas, 3i Atlas. That was a hot topic there for a while. Headed towards Jupiter, and then out of the solar system, never to be seen again. That was an interesting moment in time. I agree. And I don't know what to think as far as, yeah, I mean, it's definitely shrouded in mystery. There's never been anything like this come through the solar system, at least with regard to the path that it took, the closeness to the planets that it took, its perihelion behind the sun with regard to the Earth. There was way too much mystery to be a coincidence. That's how I look at it. So I don't think this was a coincidence. Do I think this was some exotic spaceship? I can't prove that. I can't say yes for sure, and I can't say no for sure. I don't think anybody can. But I will say this. There was way too much mystery around this to be a coincidence. Something was unique about this that none of us will probably ever know, but I'm not convinced this was just some random act of nature. Not by a long shot. And that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't think this was random. Where it came from, what it was doing, the universe is, take a pick. I mean, the universe is on the table here. But that wasn't a coincidence, my friends. I don't think so. That thing came in like a jet. Look at that. There's its path. It didn't come in at a steep angle like that, like most comets do. It was traveling like an airplane. Again, just one of the layers of mystery surrounding that thing. So good question, Jennifer. And that's my 2 cents worth, whatever it's worth. I don't think that was a coincidence, my friend. No way. So once again, the ice storm of 2026 will go down in the record books as one to remember. And guys, I hope the power gets back on soon, but from the looks of some of these pictures and the very heavy icing that Tennessee saw, Louisiana saw, Mississippi saw, it could be a while before the power gets restored. Hopefully not, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Sometimes those can be very, very slow getting the power back on, getting the grid basically rebuilt in some areas. Looking at Mount Kilauea right now, it's just kind of smoldering, not too much going on. A couple of days ago, that was not the case. This is what was going on up there at the summit of Mount Kilauea. It was slinging lava high and far. I mean, it was hot. It started in the middle of the night. It started kind of percolating in the middle of the night around 3 a.m. Hawaii time. And then around 7:30-ish, 8 a.m., way she went. It blew both those stacks over there, and it was sending lava way up into the sky. Probably 400-foot fountains went on for the better part of the day, creating a decent lava flow you can see over there. So Mount Kilauea once again. This was on the 24th, a couple of days ago. Mount Kilauea once again acting up, and it's been doing that since 2018 off and on. Sometimes it does it more often than others. That was one of those times, quite possibly responding to the recent geomagnetic storm that we had from the incoming large CME, and we had a little bit of a coronal hole high-speed stream of solar wind. So a lot of activity here recently, but right now it's just the complete opposite. It's very quiet, with the exception of the heat and cold extremes. Very hot in the southern hemisphere and very, very warm, or very hot in the southern hemisphere and very, very cold in the northern hemisphere. All right, guys, that is all I got for today. I got to hop off here. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.